It's time to make things right. That is the message from the moon on this Libra last quarter that we have happening January 10th, 2026. Now, the last quarter moon is always an angle of tension between the sun and the moon. But on this last quarter, we have 3 more planets in the mix in a major way. All are in very, very powerful angles to the sun and the moon on this last quarter. So this last quarter has some added insights, and it's a powerful moment to start 2026 off on solid footing. I'm really excited to break this one down for you. But first, I'm Laura Custo, and this is the Moon Method. Every week, I break down the best way to use the moon's energy based on its larger 9-month patterns surrounding that very visible monthly cycle, which we know as our phases of the moon. So if you haven't yet, go and grab my free guide, the Moon Phase Compass. It is full of simple foundational knowledge that you can use forever to work with the moon's monthly repeatable cycles. You can find that at lauracusto.com/guide. I'll put a link at the top of the show notes. Okay, this last quarter in Libra. Let's look at this closer through the 4 steps. Number 1, we always start with energy. So what's the energy around a last quarter moon in Libra? Well, let's start with Libra. So Libra energy is very balanced and fair. If you know Libra, you know that the symbol for it is the scales, right? So it's all about weighing things and wanting things to be fair and level and equal. It can be indecisive, but really what it's doing is it's seeking to understand both sides. It's an air sign, which means it is intellectual. And so it wants to get all the facts. It doesn't want to make a decision before it really understands the situation. Now, Libra is also associated with beauty and love, but it's really under that vein of ideas. So ethical is beautiful, right? Fairness is loving. Okay, so that's the Libra energy. Now let's overlay it with the last quarter. Last quarter is about release, and it is taking action to lighten our load and let go. And so, yes, with Libra, it's this lovingly balanced decision to choose consciously what to let go of after thoughtful consideration of all the factors. So, as you're working with this energy, you really want to get your mind and your body into that type of thinking, right? Fairness. Let's gather all the thoughts. Let's gather all the facts. Let's gather all the feelings and let's weigh them out, okay? And we are going to be releasing here. That's how we lighten our load, right? As you go through the moon phases, the first couple phases are about doing things to get things going and taking action to grow things and accumulate things. The full moon is this big culmination point, bringing things into our lives. But on the last quarter, we need to complete that cycle by letting go, by harvesting, right? Because you can't just keep accumulating and accumulating and accumulating. All right, step 2. I want to share some facts around this energy, all right? So we always have some key dates here that we want to look at. So the last quarter moon is the end of a full lunar gestational cycle moon family, okay? So we have 3 other dates that we can go back and look to for clues to see what is requiring our examination here on this last quarter. So I've said this before, but when I talk about these moon families and these lunar gestational cycles, what it is they are all happening. The key dates I mentioned here are dates when the moon is cycling through those other phases all at the same point in the sky, which is here at this last quarter around 20 degrees of Libra. So we have a last quarter around 20 degrees of Libra, but we had a full moon at 20 degrees of Libra about 9 months ago. And that was on April 12th, 2025. So something culminated them. 9 months before that, still the moon was right around 20 degrees of Libra and it had its first quarter. That was when you would have taken action with the external world to move your dreams along. That first quarter date is July 13th, 2024. And finally, way back 27 months ago, 9 months before that first quarter moon, we had the new moon, which was an eclipse. It was on October 14th, 2023. So intentions that you set, wishes, dreams, hopes, goals. So you can look back at those key dates, see what was going on, and see if you can find the pattern of what you need to examine here and what needs to be released. Also, Libra also oversees an area of life for you depending on your astrology chart. So if you know what your chart is and you know what I'm talking about, go grab it and see what area of life Libra oversees. If you're not sure, I have two ways that I can help you with that. The first is through a short course called Moon Map. Literally, it takes you through a couple hours worth of material, and it's very step by step. It is literally walking you through the steps that you need to take to figure out what map is appropriate for you based on your chart. There's 12 different variations. So at the end of the course, you'll get your map and you'll understand what area of life Libra oversees for you. And you can use this map not just for this moon phase, but for every single moon phase forever and ever and ever. Okay, so that's Moon Map. The other way I can help you is with what I call, I give you custom messages right when you need them membership. It's $19 a month and it's called Moon Chat. Moon Chat will literally spoon feed you 2 days before every moon phase. Here's the area of life it's overseeing for you. Here's the area of life you need to focus on. It'll give you the dates, etc., etc. So I'll put links for those at the top of the show notes. So here we are at the end of step 2. We know it's a last quarter in Libra, so we're being called to let go of something by lightening our load, by looking at all the factors, right? There's a lot of thinking and consideration that goes along with Libra. And we have these dates to reference back to, and you may have also zeroed in on that area of life that is really being lit up, right? When there's energy in Libra. It could be your home life, it could be your career, it could be your money, etc. There's 12 different areas. One will be in focus for you. Okay, let's move on to step 3, which is the meaning behind the energy. So at the beginning of the show, I mentioned that we had 3 other planets in very strong angles. And this is also why the message from the moon is, hey, it's time to make things right. So what we have going on, we have, in addition to the sun and the moon at a right angle, the sun is in Capricorn with Venus and Mars. So 2 of the other personal planets, that's a lot. We've got Sun, Venus, Mars, they're personal planets. The moon is also a personal planet. The only personal planet we haven't talked about here is Mercury. But Mercury is also in Capricorn, by the way. But Capricorn is a very sensible sign. It's growth oriented. It's got the long-term view in mind, right? The animal that symbolizes Capricorn is the mountain goat. And mountain goats will stand on the side of a mountain forever, looking like they're not doing anything. And then out of the blue, they will just, in a flash of an eye, they will execute a flawless, jump up the mountain, right? They've been planning their course for hours. That is Capricorn energy. It doesn't move and everything has purpose, and it's very, very strategic. And so Sun, Mars, and Venus, the sun is our sense of self. Mars is how we take action. And Venus is how we approach pleasure and love. Well, Capricorn brings this very responsible flavor to all of that. So these 3 energies in Capricorn are looking at things right now in terms of, what do I stand for? Who am I really? What am I capable of sustaining? What has staying power in my life? What do I want to have staying power in my life when I look at that long-term horizon, right? And what is proven? What has been proven to stand the test of time, okay? So it's taking that very personal lens at the long term, and it's incredibly responsible. And it's really rare for us to have all of those planets all in Capricorn and also very, very close together. They're literally right on top of each other. And so it's a really great opportunity, regardless of this last quarter moon, just a really great opportunity to sort of embrace this Capricorn energy with respect to who you are and where you're going and where you're headed, right? January is typically a time when people kind of reassess their lives, right? And set new goals for the year. You've got some really great Capricorn energy sitting there to help you do that. All right, but then right across from those 3 planets in the sky is Jupiter, the planet of expansion. And it is in Cancer, which is very nurturing, loving, it's emotional, it's a lot of self-care. And so Jupiter, it's imagine these planets sitting across the table from each other. And there's all of this energy that's just very, very responsible and fact-driven. And then you've got Jupiter, and it's like, but how do you feel about it all? And what is kind? And what is loving? And what is compassionate? Okay, so kind of two sides of the same coin, really. And what we're doing here is at this time, we're really meant to integrate them. And those planets will be in those angles, for the week or so before and after this last quarter moon. But here's what happens on the last quarter moon. The moon, which moves pretty quickly, comes in and it creates this angle of tension with everything. Okay, they're opposed to each other, and then the moon comes in, like, it's right here, and so you've got this, like, it's called the T-square, right? So they're kind of like, oh, I don't know if I should do this or this or this, and then the moon comes in, and it's kind of like the tiebreaker, and it's like, hey, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep doing this anymore. And it says we're gonna look, and because it's in Libra, it's saying we're gonna look at the full equation. And not generally, but we're going to put everything on scales, right? Enough of this general push and pull, push and pull. We're going to weigh it out. And we're not going to just weigh the facts, right? Because the facts are everything in Capricorn, right? With the Sun, Venus, and Mars. We're weighing our feelings too. The emotional load we're carrying, the emotional toll that things are taking on us. And so we're going to be asking, how am I responsible for this? Or do I want to keep being responsible for this? What is the cost? Not just time, but emotional. Or how emotionally involved have I gotten here, right? It's going to hold that Jupiter accountable too. Am I being overly emotional? Am I letting my emotions run the show here? Am I putting too much stock in them? Am I being appropriate? So it's going to check on the emotional facts too. And it's going to look for proof. Okay. And it's going to not just look at, are we being kind, but like, are you being appropriate? Are you holding yourself and others to a higher standard through this full analysis and consideration of all the facts? It wants to give, again, everything equal weight, not just the facts, but how those facts feel. Success, right? Capricorn's very successful, very focused on that appearance of success or standard society definitions of success. But that Jupiter is making us now say, at what cost? And the moon in Libra is saying, let's put it on the scale and we're going to weigh it all out. Okay. Step 4. 4 is the step where we take action. All right. And I want to circle back to energy here too, because energy always matters. How we carry ourselves, how we go out in the world, and how we do things. Again, we're going to embrace this Libra energy, right? And you can't really get clear on what action to take until you have carefully analyzed all the facts, right? And again, I mentioned Libra can be really indecisive. It's a very funny stereotype of Libra. How can you tell a Libra? They're always the ones who don't want to pick the restaurant. They never want to make a decision. Well, but they want to know what everybody thinks, right? They don't want to pick the restaurant for a group of 10 people before they know what everybody's preferences are, dietary restrictions or allergies, right? So that's Libra. So this last quarter is asking you to make things right. So you're going to look at what have you built and how do you feel about it? And then address, is it fair? Is it ethical? Is it balanced? And most important, what do you need to do to bring it into balance? And whatever that is your last quarter action. Now, it might be delegating something to someone. It could be giving someone else more responsibility because we're lightening our load here, right? Or it's simply bowing out of something, realizing it wasn't yours to carry and not worrying about what others will think or what they will say, and just setting that boundary that needs to be set and probably should have been set a long time ago. But hey, right, we're all on this journey. We're all learning, we're all growing, and we're all evolving. That's how it works. But again, this is rooted in ethical balance, and attaining a fair ethical balance is what is meant by making things right. Okay. So that is how to work with this Libra last quarter. And I hope you found that really helpful. All right. One other thing that I want to mention is that here at the start of 2026, I have the new 2026 Moon Chat Journal updated and ready for purchase. Now, if you've never heard of the journal, I'll tell you a little bit about it. It is a beautiful digital download, and it's a product that you can use either electronically or physically simply by printing it out. But in the journal, you will have all 52 moon phases for 2026, and it is an amazing document to keep track of your journey. The journal has color-coded calendar previews for each and every month, and it shows you when the energies of each phase are active. And then there is also a half page for you to document your observations on each of the 52 moon phases. And then next to each moon phase, you'll also find the reference dates that I speak of in these weekly episodes, right? So you can go buy the journal and you get all 52 with all those dates for the entire year right at your fingertips. So, and then there's also extra room for you to write in that area of life that the phase is overseeing for you, right? Based on your moon map. Now, I'll put a link for this journal at the top of the show notes. It is also a lovely companion to both the Moon Chat membership as well as that moon map. So I use mine, obviously my journal, every single phase, and I absolutely love having this living record of my observations. So when I get to a new moon phase, I don't need to go digging through my records. I simply go grab my information from the last date that has everything, and I copy paste it over, and it's all right there for me. I know exactly what energy I'm dealing with. So having it is wonderful, and I hope that if you choose to get it, you will love it just as much as I do. All right, so that's what I have for you this week. And with that, I would love to hear from you as well. So I'd love to know what came up for you. How are you going to work with this Libra energy? And what are you going to do to make things right? Drop your notes in the comments below. And until next week, as always, take care.